WCBC in the morning, as promised, a candidate for Cumberland City Council. His name is Albert Keener. Mr. Keener this time has been paid for by the candidate. Albert, who is Albert Keener?
Hey, good morning, Mr. Norman. I'm going to start off by giving a little background about myself. I was born in Cumberland. I attended Eastside School until I was in 5th grade. I graduated from Old Town School at the top of my class in 1990. I went to FSU on a scholarship. I graduated with honors in 1994. I've lived in town since 2000. I'm 39 years old, and I've worked over 15 years at Alliance Publishing and Marketing on Virginia Avenue, managing that firm's computer systems. One thing I do want to make sure I mention in this interview this morning is I'd like to take the time this morning to ask your listeners for help with my campaign. I know many of your listeners are politically active, and I can't overemphasize, Dave, that they can make a huge difference in making sure the right people get in office by making donations, offering a place to put a sign, or volunteering. And that's going to beg the question, why do I think I'm the best candidate for city council? Mm-hmm. And I'll be more than happy to answer that, as well as any additional questions you have as well, Mr. Norman.
All right, let's try to address need first. You would appreciate a sign in their yard.
Yes.
You would appreciate any volunteering they might do for you to spread the word about your candidacy, and you could always use some donations to defray the cost of campaigning. If I'm inclined to do one or all of the above, why should I? Why should I get behind Albert Keener, other than the fact that you're willing to do it and people like me are not?
Right. I consider myself a very serious candidate. Many people have been elected due to name recognition or the fact that they've been a businessman, and that doesn't necessarily guarantee that they're familiar with city government. I have worked hard to familiarize myself with that. Over the years, I've spent a lot of time writing letters to the local paper, communicating with people in local state government about issues that affect our city. In the past, I've fought for fixing our streets. I've advocated for our fire department in a previous campaign. I've worked to have the State Highway Administration to improve the Virginia Avenue traffic signal. I put a YouTube video up regarding that issue. I've attended numerous city council meetings over the last year. I've spoken at the podium to council members about many issues affecting our city. I don't look at this as a starting point for a career in politics. I'm not going to run and right in the middle of the term run for another office. I view this office in terms of being a statesman, a public servant. I consider myself a fiscal conservative. I know that the city is in $52.7 million worth of debt, and something needs to be done. There needs to be some leadership. And I know that a good leader needs to have some good ideas of their own, and they also need to recognize other people's good ideas and put them into action if they don't have those ideas. Electing people that know how city government works is very important if you want someone in office that can hit the ground running and begin work immediately. And I think I'm qualified to do that.
Let me veer off script for just a moment.
Absolutely.
You reference in your campaign material that your three issues are crime, economic development, and fixing the city's water pipes.
Absolutely.
When you're this much in debt, how do you have any money for anything?
You're just going to have to get more creative and work with the city staff and come up with as many cuts as possible. I mean, this is just going to have to become a priority. Addressing the crime issue, I want both public service departments, the police and fire department, I want them to work together, come up with a plan so we can put more police officers on the street. There may have to be some cuts in management. I'm open to suggestions. I recognize they are the experts when it comes to that sort of thing. Economic development, there are monies from the hotel motel tax. Maybe they need to be addressed because better use of those funds will get more heads in hotels as well. We're going to have some more. We're going to need to really get serious about economic development to grow our tax base. Fixing our city's water pipes, we might need to look into grant writing, things of that nature. some of the mandates. For example, we were supposed to have a combined sewer overflow put in place by 2022. They just approved the design of that for $1.5 million. People have to recognize that you go there and you spend 1.5 here, 2 here. It adds up, and that's what it's been doing. And some things may not have been necessary. They've built some water tanks. I recognize that's important, but we have to make absolutely sure that every expense is absolutely needed before we proceed there. Just not like to say, well, we're going to need it in 15 years anyway. Let's go ahead and do it. We're going to have to just look at the budget line by line and see what we can do to make up those expenses. And like I said, grant writing are also possibilities. And we definitely have economic development. If we do it right, it'll pay for itself. We need to grow our tax base, and we also need to look at infill, not just expanding the city boundaries. You know, some people, they'll say, well, we tore that house down, and it's on the tax base now because the person next door to it made it into their yard. I say we sell the houses that are bad in this place for $1. Let someone else pay them to tear them down, and get them to build a new building on them in a set period of time, and let's grow our tax base. We need to grow.
Talking with Albert Keener, who is a candidate for City Council. He'd like your help, and he's telling you a little bit about himself this morning so that you can make a decision whether you'd care to help.